Good afternoon and welcome to Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. I have somebody in the studio that I've known, oh my goodness, at least 20 years. At least. Dr. Shawn Boyd. Shawn, welcome to Dialogue with Deidre.
Thank you for having me. So glad to be here today.
Look, this conversation is about access, it's about strategy, it's about winning when it comes to higher education.
Yes.
We're joined by someone who has made it his mission to help students and families navigate the college journey with clarity and confidence. Dr. Boyd, talk to me about this. I want our viewers to know who you are and what drives your passion for helping students to succeed.
Yeah. So again, Shawn Boyd, born and raised Memphis, Tennessee. I feel like when you say Memphis, you got to tell the high school you went to, right?
Oh, so, you do?
Overton High School, graduate class in 1999. And so pretty much, as you just mentioned, my why, the college space. I'm a first generation college student, and a lot of times people, I've kind of felt shame about it growing up.
Why?
When I got older, I really was like, hey, there's so many students out here that don't have the opportunity, don't have the advisor to say, hey, you can do this on the next step. And so day by day, every day I wake up, I'm like, how can I help students to navigate a post-secondary credential? That's either if it's a 2-year, if that's a certificate, 4-year, whatever the case may be, I want to make sure they have the knowledge and the resources to get to the next step.
So what was it that inspired you to write How to Play the Game of College? Was it because you were first gen?
Yeah. So many different factors. My first job in higher ed was at Lamorne College, the Lamorne College, on the HBCU here in Memphis. And I remember just getting that job, and there were so many parents, students that had so many questions. And so the power of social media, every day I would get there and, inbox, you got questions from parents, see them in the grocery store, and they really wanted the best for their students. And so I was like, it would be cool if I can put together just a resource, a manual, a book where they can just open it up. I call it the hidden agenda. So if you look at this book, you're going to know everything to how to apply to college, what types of colleges, why is an advisor important, steps to get to graduation, and more importantly, how to get the job after you leave college.
You have a lot of parents who may not be around, Shawn, but the older grandparents are trying to help navigate them.
Yes.
Will this be like a playbook for them?
Yeah. So I wrote the book. When I actually sit down and wrote it, I had the parents in mind. I had nonprofits. We have some really great nonprofits here in Memphis. I had, again, the grandparents, the cousin, whoever, anybody you go to, your pastor, that can just say, hey, I want to open this book, turn to this chapter, and I feel like I have the confidence to guide you to that next step.
What do you think, like, some of the early mistakes some of these parents make, or grandparents or guardians make, when they're trying to help students like apply for colleges? What are some of the big mistakes that they make? Yeah,
so I love how you said the word mistakes, because a lot of times it's just, they just don't know. And I think a lot of times you say, hey, I think I'm leading you down the right way, but if you don't know and really don't have the resources, that can be difficult. Some of the main mistakes is you are putting your dreams on your student. And so a lot of times when I talk to different parents, they're saying, well, I want them to go to TSU because I want to go to TSU, right? And TSU may not be for your student, right? And so I think sometimes just not advising the right way, they mean well, right? But sometimes it could come across as college fit, and you have to make sure that's the foundation when we're looking at colleges. Waiting to the last minute, right? And so, sometimes you'll have students to say, or parents to say, well, hey, I'm going to wait to the very last hour and apply, in August, and school starts August the 25th. We apply the 20th. A lot of times you're missing out on funding. You're missing out on new student orientation. It's just so many things that when you start earlier, you're setting yourself up for success. So I would say those are two of the main mistakes when we look at when we talk about post-secondary.
Well, I just have to say the first one. I'm guilty of.
I was going to say, you guilty of it.
So you notice that I smiled. I was like laughing because when my youngest son started thinking about college, of course, he thought about TSD. Okay. And I'm like, his dad and I went to Jackson State. So how you going to go to Tennessee State? We went to Jackson State. So, we had that conversation. Like, but he ended up going to Tennessee State.
For this, right?
Exactly. But putting, what you think.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're coming into their own. So 17, 18. they kind of know what they want to
So
do.
true. So true.
Right? But
Very true.
sometimes you still have to guide them because they think they know. And maybe they haven't done all their research, right?
So true. And I think, like you said, my son is going through the same process. He's a junior in high school. So I try to be more the advisor and like sit in the back seat and like let him drive the process, because he's constantly saying, what do you think about this school? Or did you like it? And if I say I don't, I notice he does pay attention.
Yes.
And so let me sit in the back and let you kind of drive the wheel, and I'm just here to support.
So Shawn, what kind of feedback? I know this was written 3 years ago, right? And it's a new book that's coming out. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But what kind of feedback have you gotten from how to play the game of college?
Man. I was just thinking, yesterday was the anniversary, March the 31st, and for 3 years, right? And so, you know how you put something out and you don't know how it's going to do. Right. I never forget, I'm shouting out Larry Robinson.
Yeah, Larry, Kazukian.
I went to go see him right before the book came out, and he said, Shawn, tell me your definition of success around this book. How many do you want to sell? And I was like, yes, 500, that may kind of like even it out. Little that I've known, I've sold over 40,000 copies.
That's amazing.
Crazy, right? And it's not even about the number of books.
Right.
I really look at the impact.
Yes.
And so everyone from, high schools here in Memphis, working with the district, I'm working in Nashville, colleges, first gen, and just kind of seeing, when you see students in the store, parents that say, hey, this book was a huge help. I feel better prepared, right? I graduated, just because I was able to read and really dive into this book. Really says a lot. And so I don't take it for granted. 3 years, the number of copies and just the many lives and hands it has touched literally all over the world.
Well, I've loved looking at the videos on YouTube where you're automatically immediately getting feedback from students on your workshops. And I'm going to make sure that Ramon and Kirk and Ancelius put clips of that within this show, because I think it's important for people specifically to hear the testimonials, because that's pretty amazing. Yeah. So let's talk about the new book. So the first book just turned 3 years How old. To Play the Game of College. Old. Now the new book that's coming out this month.
It's coming out this month on April the 13th. It's called How to Win the Game of Life After College.
Okay.
And so again, just addressing that piece, my work in the post-secondary space, I always say the honor, privilege to travel to so many different institutions, right? And so a lot of what I'm seeing is students say, well, hey, I'm here to get the degree, which, hey, that is a huge part of it. That's why you go to college. But it's the life after, right? And so no one told me, that, hey, you're not going to walk out of college getting a 6-figure job. Most likely,
Most
right?
people think that, though.
Hey, do I want to go to grad school? Do I need to stay where I'm at? Do I need to stay in Memphis? Do I need to move? I was fortunate enough. This is my first job, the Carter Malone Group.
Yes.
She took a huge chance on me. And Deidre, I put that in the book. Yes, I said all good things.
Good.
But it was a lot of lessons learned, right? Yes. Because, again, that's part of the journey. And, again, I think that's that piece a lot of times we don't address with students when they get the degree. It's like, oh, you got the degree. You're on your own.
Because it's different.
It's different.
Real life practice, Shawn, is really different. Like in my first job, right out of college, I went to a radio station in Quad Cities in Rock Island, Illinois. And I'm like, I've got a degree in journalism, and I'm working as a sales coordinator. And I'm like, this is not what I want to do.
So true.
But you got to pay the bills.
So true.
Right?
And then you get the skills.
You
do. I think that's the piece that we sometimes miss. It's like we go for the salary, or we go for, hey, this title. But along the way, you get soft skills. It's going to build up to the next career or whatever that may be, next job.
Exactly. So what are some, I don't want to give away what's in the book, but give me at least 2 of the things that you want people to take away out of the new book, How to Win the Game of Life After College.
Yeah, don't be scared to jump outside of your comfort zone. I think, we always say when you go to college, you're going to be on your own. But college is I always say it's not the real world, right? You have food there, you got support still from parents. I think once you get on your own, sometimes we kind of thrive in just this comfort space. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I do want to go to grad school, right? I do want to maybe go for a doctorate. I might want to change the city I live in. I've been here, hey, 20 years, I might want to try something totally different. So I think that's a big piece in the book. And then again, don't be scared to go for whatever the first, look at the skills more than a job, right? And so, like you just mentioned, I might not come out being the head journalist or whatever the case may be. I might be sweeping the floor, but while you're sweeping the floor, I'm talking to the reporter, right? I'm going on different assignments with the reporter. I'm getting the necessary skills in order to build my resume up at the same time.
Well, I remember way back when, because you know how old I am. I remember when I was coming out of high school, my goal was to go to law school.
Okay, yeah.
Decided not to do it.
Okay.
And I look back now on that and think, I probably should have done it. You know what I'm saying? So I just want people to know there's nothing wrong with, you know, you can be 35, 40, 45 and change paths, right? It's never too late to go back to school. I read all the time about people who are like in their 50s, 60s, and 80s who don't finish their degree and then go back.
So true.
Now, I wouldn't do that at 80, but I'm just saying that's what they do.
I was going to say, are you making an announcement you're going back to law school?
No. Shawn, I'm ready to go sit on the porch. You know, give me a couple of years and I'm going to sit on that porch. Now, so let's talk about, when we're talking about after college, you know, you've got a lot of students who have a lot of debt because maybe they didn't get financial aid and had to get loans. I mean, you know, what are some of those strategies to try and overcome some of that debt?
Yeah. So first off, I always say, you know, look for jobs that will help you to pay for your debt, you know, current financial aid you might have. Or if you're looking to go to different higher ed or grad schools, my job at the University of Memphis, for example, paid for my master's, right? And so when you're looking at packages, sometimes don't always just look at the salary, look at the benefits, right? Good. And so there could be, hey, we got a plan in place that will pay for, you know, 2 classes per year. You know, take advantage of those. Now, don't get the job and don't go to school, right? So you want to make sure if you're there, making sure you take advantage of it. And then also make sure that there's so many different programs out now concerning financial aid. I actually, man, look, I could shout on this camera right now. I got $60,000 paid off under the Biden administration.
That's
so my
wonderful.
doctor was pretty much free.
Stop.
And again, it was just a simple application. Working in education, I had no idea. I filled it out, got done with my degree. So good. And hey, it's all forgiven.
So you have to do your research and look and see what's out there. Because I remember back in the day when Pat was in, after he finished and went into medical school, there was a program that they had where if you work in a inner city clinic, that they'd write off all of your medical school debt. He did that for 2 years.
So true. Got paid off.
$100,000 worth of debt was written off. So look for those opportunities.
Look for research. Exactly.
So Dr. Boyd, talk to me about the Dr. Boyd Educational Solutions business that you have.
Yeah, so this will be the second year me doing it full time. So again, under this particular umbrella, Dr. Shawn Boyd Educational Solutions, LLC, I get a chance to support colleges, mainly with college access, as we just talked about, getting students there. But as we know, when students get there, it's another game in keeping them in school, right? And so, you know, a lot of colleges I work with, they have maybe faculty members who don't know how to, you know, when we identify with certain types of students, mainly first gen. Now colleges have high school students. It's a big thing with dual enrollment where high school students can get college credits.
That's back. They had it back in the day because I did that.
Yeah. So it's really huge now. So again, just really teaching colleges strategies, looking at data, right? Because data speaks and really supports and tells colleges what way they need to go. But more importantly, also I work with high schools, and so developing programs, summer bridge camps, and different things of that nature. So weekly, I'm traveling somewhere, but again, getting a chance to really support the work and really move students forward.
So I'm glad to see there are a lot of colleges now, Doc, that have programs that tailor to maybe students that going in might have challenges. Like the University of Tennessee, Knoxville has a program. I think the University of Memphis has a program.
Yeah, you name it. And again, you know, I think when they bring me in, it's, you know, I'm always asking to see the data and how we can really follow those students, because again, it's so easy for students, it's one wrong move. I always say at a college, and it's hard to get them there, but it's so easy for them to be like, forget it.
I'm not going to do it.
I'm throwing my hands up. I'm done, right? And so what can we do to really support them, not just to get there, but through, right? And then also to get them to that graduation stage.
What kind of advice would you give to parents, too, because it's a challenge? Also, you know, you've got the instructors at college trying to make sure that, the students stay on track. But sometimes parents don't even know what to say.
So true.
Especially if they've not gone through college and they don't know what to do or what to say.
Yeah.
What kind of advice can you share with parents?
Yeah, it sounds so simple, Deidre. I always just say, ask for help. And it sounds simple, it's like just Nike, just do it, right?
Yeah.
But, I think sometimes we teach parents or tell parents it needs to be this line, and it doesn't have to be this like bold line that you can't get into the college spaces. Many colleges welcome parent involvement and engagement. They have alumni groups. They have parent groups. They even, when you go to orientation, parents have their own session.
Yeah.
And so get there. I always say get to know that one person on campus. So if you need something or your student needs something, I know I can pick up a Dr. Shawn Boyd at whatever school and call and just ask for help. Sometimes it's not, what way to go, but it's like, I'm just lost. So like, what do you advise that I do?
Right.
And most folks are willing to help you. But if you don't ask, how would they know?
Exactly.
Yep.
So 3 books, 3 years in.
Okay, we speaking another book.
Another book coming out in April. But I want to know, share a success story for me, Doc. I know you've been out in the community with the book that's been in existence 3 years, and people will walk up to you. But what has been one of the most meaningful stories?
Good question.
That someone shared with you about your book?
Yeah, I would say, again, I get the pleasure. I was just even at a coffee shop yesterday. I think being in higher ed now for 20 years, I have students that
Has it been that long?
Yeah, 20 years, a long time.
I'm getting old, y'all.
And, just number one, just to see your students, my insurance guy is one of my students, right? The person who sold me my car, so just seeing students in different areas, right, that you can support. But I would say one that kind of just sticks out to me. I had a student when I worked at the University of Memphis. I actually worked in a probation office where students come right before they actually get kicked out of school, right? And so she came and just, had the story of like, life was lifing, right? Mom was sick.
It happens.
Having to take care of mom, worked 2 jobs. I ended up hiring her as my work study student. So I took a chance, brought her in, pretty much work with her on a daily basis. Not only did she graduate with honors, but she's actually working on her doctorate now, right? And so she called me last week to say, can you sit on my dissertation committee? And I'm like, man, I remember when you just got to U of M, almost about to be put out, right? And so really just seeing students, again, all they need is a hand, I don't like to say hand out, but a hand up, right, in the process, and somebody who really believes in them, and they just take off. And so I get different stories like that daily. Every day I get up, I'm like, man, God just used me to be a vessel in this work, and I just constantly see so many great things happening around.
Well, I'm hoping that story is on your website, because that almost made me cry. Let me just say that. So, the college landscape today. Is college still worth it?
I know you was going to ask the question. The value of college. Yes, it is still worth it, right?
Okay.
And so what I love to tell people, back in the day, we will always say you had to go to a 4-year institution. That's not the case anymore, right? And so what I preach and what I like to say is a post-secondary credential.
Okay.
And that can look, again, 1-year certification. They can look in the form of going to college like Southwest, 2 years.
Yes.
Associate's degree. They could look, transferring to a 4-year, whatever the case may be. There's so many different options now, online versus going on campus. And so I think, again, figuring out what fits for you, right? Knowing what that's going to lead to as far as career, and right, just go after that path. No one path is the correct way. And I think sometimes people think, hey, I got to go to this particular school and rock this T-shirt and, I'm going to look this way. But no, people, you want a job.
Exactly.
And this should help you to really get to that particular job.
So Shawn, you know both of my sons, and you've known them a long time. So I have to... So Patrick says he's in the class, but I have to tell you that that Brian, I'll never forget. One time he told me, he said, you know what, Bill Gates didn't finish college. I'm like, you're not Bill Gates. I'm gonna need you to get that paper.
Not many. Exactly.
So look, I just want to ask you a few more questions.
Yeah.
Rapid fire. Public versus private, HBCUs, community college. What do you think?
A very good question. Very good question. Again, I think it goes to fit. You know,
Okay.
again, my
What fits
son, you know, I always kind of refer to my son. He's at East High School in Memphis. Super smart kid. He didn't get it from me. I would say he got it from his mama.
He got it from you,
know,
too.
Hey, he got a, you know, really good ACT, super academic. So he's looking more for a 4-year pathway, right?
Okay.
Hey, I know students that live in a neighborhood that's going to technical school.
Right.
They're coming out making $90K, $100K in 2 years,
So
right?
these electricians are making, oh my goodness,
plumbers,
yes.
You know, so I don't like to put them against each other. I think,
Right.
again, you just got to find out. That's a chapter in the book, College Fit, right? Really figure out what path is correct for you.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Dr. Shawn Boyd, we only have 2 minutes left.
Okay.
So how to win the game of life after college?
Yes.
When is the book dropping?
Yeah. Super excited about it. April the 13th.
Okay.
And it will be available on Amazon, Kindle, if you like iPads and want to pull it up. And again, you may mention this, but I got a book signing.
Yes.
It's Just Love Coffee on Madison, April the 25th from 9 to 12 noon. And also I'm doing a virtual book thing as well. So
Like a book talk?
Book talk, yeah.
Oh,
So it'll be
love
April
it.
the 13th that evening at 6 p.m. If you follow my Facebook, you can find more
Yes.
information.
Okay, and I want everybody to know that if you have, I have a grandson that's about to graduate and going to college, and so he really needs this book. If we don't have it, Kurt, he needs the book. And then for my adult sons, they need this book. All right, so Dr. Shawn Boyd, it's always a pleasure to see you, my friend,
yes.
And thank you for coming on Dialogue with
No,
Deidre. You
thank
can come back
you.
anytime.
Okay.
Anytime, because I
remember
want to
you said
hear,
that.
like, in 2 years, how this book's done. 'Cause
Okay,
40,000 is no joke.
Man,
That's a
grateful,
blessing.
Grateful, yes.
That is a
Thank you so
blessing.
much for having me.
Oh, anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on
Yes.
Dialogue with Deidre.